Pets. One of the greatest rifts between DMs and players. As a player, you just want to bring your fluff ball along in some adventures. As a DM, you just don't want anything to break your frail facade of control. During the first steps of character creation, one of the most frequent requests I get is animal companions, and currently, 4 out of the 7 players in my campaign have a pet. And up until now, no problems have actually occurred, at least not because of the pets. Now, I do understand why some DMs might feel uneasy with the idea of giving out pets. Whether it be out of the fear of them being game-breaking additions, or just outright not wanting to track yet another variable. So I came up with a somewhat simple system that helps me manage them all. My current system for pets begins by dividing them into 3 categories. First, we have fluff pets. Fluff pets have no purpose besides being cute and making your players happy. They are the most inoffensive companions to add to your game. A good example of a fluff pet is the mouse given by the urchin background. In my opinion, you should just let your players have fun with this. Whether it be a ferret, a parrot, or maybe a cat, as long as they're not trained to meddle with the game by carrying out tasks that might actively affect your game, I think it's fine. You can even go so far as to do the good old kick the dog villainous approach if you want your players to actually hate one of your big bad evil guys. Then we have utility pets. These pets can perform a myriad of tasks that may or may not turn some tables, such as recon missions, retrieving objects, or carrying messages. Most companions in this category will be byproducts of Find Familiar, but in my experience, giving out a cool pet as a reward, or just the ability to buy one, will be much more appreciated than any item you could ever give. Just remember that they should be too weak to pose a threat in terms of combat. The only thing they should be doing when a brawl starts is hiding or just running away. Now, for the third category, we have combat pets. You have to be extremely careful when adding them to your game, as they can very easily break your combat encounters and also just shit all over your Beastmaster Ranger. For these, I mostly follow the rules for sidekicks given by the Tasha Scholar of everything. When choosing pets, however, I would recommend caution and some planning, as sidekicks are only allowed CRs of 1/2 and below. You can work around this by taking the stats of a creature that may be used as a sidekick and just reflavor it as the pet you want. For example, although you technically can't have a direwolf pet, you have a warg, which has a very similar stat block, so just move some stats around and you have on your hands a direwolf. You could also just use the direwolf stat block and cap its possible level, but honestly, I don't know how viable that would turn out to be. I tried to make a table that could help understand at what level you could start leveling up your higher CR pets, although I don't trust it too much myself, but here it is anyways. An extremely important detail is that this table gives you the maximum number of psychic levels you can give a companion, not the average. Do remember that when giving your fighter his direwolf pet. Finally, so that we don't bully the Beastmaster too much, we need to remember that companions are not the same thing as the Beastmaster Ranger's companions. So I would advise DMs to only allow players to make an animal handling check as a bonus action to command their pets in combat. Even then, the pet can only act on its own turn, and the players can only ask for simple things to be done, such as attacking or just falling back. If failed, the pet does whatever might feel reasonable to the DM, whether it be running or just continue attacking. Moving on to costs, cause as some of you know, pets can get really expensive. Each type of pet has associated costs of living and maintenance, and that's mostly up to you to decide what they are, but here's how I usually handle it. So, fluff pets, I don't really trouble myself with their costs. You can say that the party member shares their rations with them, or that they feed themselves easily from what's in the area. Utility pets may not incur any costs if you deem it unnecessary, but if you think they are too useful with little to no drawbacks, I would recommend making them cost about 1 silver a day in resources. Also remember that your players have to pay an upfront price for whatever pet they want, especially pets that have actual uses, so keep that in mind. Combat pets, however, should have both starting and maintenance costs associated with each of them. They don't need to be gold costs, and honestly it's more fun when it isn't, but usually giving them a fixed gold price is easier than other arbitrary costs. For the pets in my campaign, I have given all of them a cost in terms of rations, so the bigger they are, the more they eat, and the more they eat, the more they cost. Depending on what type of campaign you are running, requiring your players to buy permits to freely roam around towns and cities with their pets would also be a very good way to make them pay a bit more. Now we have to touch a somewhat sensitive topic: pet deaths. Pet deaths are in great part the largest reason why I wanted to make this video in the first place. Depending on the players at your table, one of their pets dying can achieve a very large range of reactions, from a quick "oh no!" anyway to a very strong emotional reaction, and with reason. Sometimes people project a lot of their real-life loves into tabletop games, and pets are sure as hell some of the most frequent ones. So when it comes to killing one of your players' pets in-game, you have to make sure it's the last case scenario in terms of punishing their actions, and to always be very clear on what the risks are for certain things they are trying to accomplish. That said, each type of pet has a very different probability of meeting their maker. Fluff pets honestly should never, and I mean never, be in danger of getting killed. They have almost zero influence in the story, and it would be just a dick move to kill them, no matter what the reason might be. Utility pets do have to fear their own mortality though, depending on what kind of tests they are undertaking. Always make it very clear to your party the risks incurred in the missions they are sending their pets in. If their pets are taking on a Mission Impossible type of task, the risk needs to be appropriate, and that may include its ultimate demise. For combat pets, I usually apply the same rules I give to my players, death saving throws and all. Rule of thumb is that if you enter the initiative order, it means that you are more than fair game for whatever comes next, but it doesn't hurt to make sure your players know that. So that's pretty much all you're gonna hear from me, so remember to subscribe, maybe like the video, comment what you think, or maybe don't, I won't hold a grudge. Or will I? Ta-ta!